All right, I'm back. Can you hear me, Cyber?
I hear you.
Oh,
Welcome
cool,
back.
cool, cool. Fucking A. Okay, hello everybody. Sorry that my computer froze up when I was moving a window from one monitor to the other, and it got halfway through and my Windows froze up again. Still haven't fixed that problem. It crashes my computer at least once a day, and I still haven't fixed it. I want to go into my computer and check the crash log and see what's the crash is saying at least, But
Yeah, it's weird, man. It is probably something related to graphics, graphic card or something. Well, I don't know.
Rocks 1 SMF. Bar.
rocks. Hey, so let me get you that video. Maybe I won't crash out this time, but I want you to retweet this. I hope you'll retweet this video too. It's another anti-DeSantis video from Truthier. It's DeSantis likes human traffickers, and I know that your audience on Twitter is going to appreciate this. So let me go from Truthier, okay? From the Truthier account, and I'll send it to you from there.
Rocks 1 SMF. I hate DeSantis with a purple passion.
Okay, I'm tweeting it right at you, and we'll see if your audience responds to that. When you retweet, if you would retweet it back at me at Truthier News, I'd greatly appreciate it. And when you do that, Rocks, maybe your audience will, maybe some of them will like and retweet my video, We'll see. But I went ahead and I sent that to you. Hey, Eddie. It's top of the hour. It's time to smoke. What say ye? Ye who have voices.
I'm packing.
Okay, he's packing. He's packing. He's packing. Turning the audio up here. What was that, Cyber?
I said
Mike
building
the
myself a bong hit.
Cheers.
Iceman's here, bro. Iceman.
Hey,
Enoch YU
Iceman.
Beaslin 420 Torres.
Ice, when are you gonna come over and try my strain, son?
Predator.
Bro, you're not gonna believe this shit, man. I'm telling
Enoch
you.
YU
Don't be
Beaslin
scared.
420 Torres.
Don't be scared.
Ruby has. Rocks 1 SMF.
I will
have nothing
smoke
to
for
say
you,
for
Rocks.
Ico,
How's
yeah.
that? That's how this works. Enoch, why
Let's
you
do the
beaslin?
guitar jam.
What's
Yo,
up, buddy?
ICR.
Yo, Iceman says Cyber, and
Let's teach a guitar jam.
he also says
Hey,
hello, Enoch. Let's go ahead and smoky time. No law
Rocks
regarding
1
cannabis.
SMF.
Cheers, everybody.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Enoch YU Beaslin 420 Torres. Yo CYBR. Enoch YU Beaslin 420 Torres. Cheers. Hashtag NLRC. Hashtag cannabisism TISMS4ALL. Pride Drive. Afternoon.
Hey, Billy, what's up, buddy? Pink Floyd co-founder explains meaning behind warning at the top of his show. What's a warning?
Founder Roger Waters' current solo tour, instead of turning down the politics, he's amping them up to 11. Last time out, he preached against Donald Trump and in favor of Palestine. This tour, twice delayed by COVID and ominously titled "This Is Not a Drill," includes references to police murdering black men, semi-automatic weapons, and abortion, and giant video screens in the shape of a cross. Waters guitarist Jonathan Wilson has explained why Waters' tour differs from those of fellow older classic rockers. Quote, "Even the Stones or members of the Beatles, it's more of a trip down memory lane than it is a current show. The activism, that's sort of the key to the whole thing."
Right?
As a longtime fan of Waters'
Hasn't
music,
always
who doesn't
been?
always agree with his
You know?
messaging, I wanted to ask him
You know,
about his
you say you want a revolution. Well, you know what? We all want to change the world. That's the Beatles, bro. You know, they literally sang the lyrics, and yet now what they claim is, yeah, now it's just about the memorabilia. Now it's just about remembering what used to be. And Roger Waters comes out and says, no, it's about the activism, and it's about today. It's about now. And just because I'm an old man doesn't mean I can't be concerned about what's going on in today's world. And Smirkanish is kind of like clowning it. It kind of seems like it just thinly veiled clowning. I don't know. I don't know. It's almost imperceptible, but let me just see it again.
classic rockers. Quote, "Even the Stones or members of the Beatles, it's more of a trip down memory lane than it is a current show. The activism, that's sort of the key to the whole thing." As a longtime fan of Waters' music who doesn't always agree with his messaging, I wanted to ask him about his mix of performing and preaching. Things got a bit animated.
How can you not always agree with Roger Waters' messaging? What is it that he says that you don't agree with, you know? What does Roger water? He waters your brain with information and facts and enlightenment and wokeness.
So here's the quote.
This is one of the most wokest people in the world right here. Roger Waters. He is about as woke as it gets. He literally wrote lyrics about social injustices, you know?
I understand that begins the show.
If you're one of those, I love Pink Floyd, but I can't stand Roger's politics, people, you might do well to f*** off to the bar.
That was awesome. Did you like that?
Well, to F off to the bar right now.
Yeah. And that's what I tell you guys in here, too. When someone's like, yo, Nate, when are you going to do another rosin pressing video? And I'm like, hey, if you're not here for my message, you can just go fuck yourself, dude, because I'm not going to do a rosin pressing video for your lame ass. So just go fuck off. That's exactly what I say. And I totally agree. I love that sentiment.
The outset of the show?
Yeah.
Because
I don't give a
Because
fuck.
it's a really good way to start the show.
Yeah,
But apart from anything else, it sets a few things straight.
exactly.
namely,
Also it encourages a lot of the people who have come to the show, because they have listened to everything I've written since, 1965 or whenever I started writing songs. So they do know what my politics are, and they do understand where my heart is, and they understand sort of why I'm there. But maybe it also gives a message to people who don't want to be there, in which case them effing off to the bar is probably not a bad idea. Except that you never know those people, if they sit in a community like my audience is on these shows of This Is Not a Drill on this tour, there is such a great feeling of communication in that room between me and the audience, and between us combined with all our brothers and sisters all over the rest of the world, irrespective of who they are, where they live, their ethnicity, their religion, their nationality, or anything else. Because if This Is Not a Drill has a message, it is that we have...
Isn't it funny that Roger Waters kind of resembles an alien as he's sitting there across from Smirkanish? When you see that view, I mean, Waters, he looks kind of alien-esque in his appearance. He's got long, slender arms, and his fingers are long, and it almost looks like fins on his hands. I mean, and that's how he could play fucking the way he plays, you know? Look at those fingers.
Yeah. To communicate one with the other.
To the guy who says, shut the F up, play the hits, do you want him, as long as he doesn't shout it out, do you want him in the arena?
I don't not want him there. So
Happy 710.
Annoy the people who do understand what's going on.
Ready to smoke, Cyber?
I'm happy for him.
Yeah, but I'm saying...
No law regarding cannabis. Cheers.
Does a person in the crowd have to buy in to the message? I've always loved the music.
Right.
Some of the messages I can buy into and some I can't.
I've only got one message. Two strangers passing in the street, by chance two passing glances meet, and I am you, and what I see is me. That is my message. And that was on Medal, which was in 1970. And basically, my message hasn't changed. I recognize your humanity, but I recognize all the Russians and the Chinese and the Ukrainians and the Yemenis and the Palestinians.
Are you an equal opportunity offender on this tour? Here's why I ask. I remember the last tour. Of course, I came and watched. Very much, about Trump. And in the current show, you've got a montage of war criminals, according to you, and a picture apparently of President Biden on the screen.
He says, according to you. Do you like the way... Now, that's Smirkanish being a freaking liar. These people are war criminals by the definition of what a war criminal is. Okay? So Smirkanish, the newsman, is literally going to sit there and lie to you by telling him that those people that he brands war criminals, that's his opinion. So let's just do a little exercise in education right here. A little exercise in research. All right? War criminal definition. A person who has carried out an act during the conduct of a war that violates accepted international rules of war. We're perpetually at war. Right? So what's the definition of war? A state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or state. So I give you this. By the very definition of war, we are always at war. Does anybody disagree? America has always been at war. Since I've been born, we've always been in a state of armed conflict in more than one country. We've had CIA operatives. We're at war where we've got soldiers. They're under attack. They're doing war. They're helping other soldiers of other countries do war with each other.
One SMS. Yup.
So we're always at war. So by the very definition of war, someone who commits a crime of war at any time, because we're always at war, is a war criminal. So just forget about the at war part of the definition of war criminal, right? Because we're always at war. It says...
Pride Drive. Alexa told me it was only on Amazon Music Unlimited and tried to sign me up. Fucking bitch.
I like the way she says, fucking bitch. A person who has carried out an act during the conduct of a war that violates accepted international rules of war. So since we're always at war, so it's when somebody violates accepted international rules of war. So if one of the accepted international rules of war is bombing and killing civilians. Okay, let's just take that one. Then by default, by fact,
we've never met a country we didn't want to help by killing its people or colonizing it.
we are violating international rules of war. Okay? And who's ever commanding that to happen, they are guilty of a war crime. It's really simple when you walk through it, isn't it? And we just walked right through it. And now you can see that every single president, every single leadership position, every single general that's ever had an order in the army that's resulted in death, any time that since I've been alive, that we've been at war, is guilty of a war crime. When you drop a bomb and it kills a civilian, that's a war crime. And that's just one war crime. That's just the only one that I'm going to mention because that's the one they're all guilty of. And we're constantly killing civilians in other countries. So, and the United States military has killed plenty of civilians in this country as well. It's provable. It's factual. Oh, you name the president, you name the cabinet, you name the administration, you're going to find death under them. They're all war criminals. So, I think I've proven my point that for Roger Waters to say that every single president is a war criminal up until right now is a fact. And for Smirkanish to say who you deem a war criminal would definitely be Smirkanish being a fucking liar. It's raining outside. It's nice. So,
Fried Drive. I just hope the simulation theory is right and this is just the time when the sim gods are letting the kids play.
Let's just take it back. Okay, listen to this.
I recognize all the Russians and the Chinese and the Ukrainians and the Yemenis and the Palestinians.
Are you an equal opportunity offender on this tour? Here's why I ask. I remember the last tour. Of course, I came and watched. Very much, about Trump. And in the current show, you've got a montage of war criminals, according to you, and a picture apparently of President Biden on the screen, and it says, just getting started. What's that all about?
President Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Well, he's fueling the fire in the Ukraine for a start. That is a huge crime. Why won't the United States of America encourage Zelensky, the president, to negotiate, obviating the need for this horrendous war that's killing?
You're blaming.
We don't know how many Ukrainians.
But you're blaming the party that got invaded. Come on, you've got it reversed.
That's any war. When did it start? What you need to do is look at the history, and you can say, well, it started on this day. You could say it started in 2008. Okay, it's basic. This war is basically about.
Look at Smirkanish just sitting there, getting schooled about history. And acting like he doesn't know that America started this fucking war in Ukraine.
The action and reaction of NATO pushing right up to the Russian border, which they promised they wouldn't do when Gorbachev negotiated the withdrawal of the USSR from the whole of Eastern Europe.
When you say this, then...
Wow. There it is. Who started the war? Huh.
I have to say, what about our role as liberators? You of all people,
you have no role as liberators.
World War II. World War II.
You got into World War II because
Come on.
Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor. You were completely isolationist until that sad, that devastating.
I would argue we were always going to get in, and that
1941.
pushed us in. But thank God the United States got in. Right?
Well,
you lost your father in World War II. Thank God the
Yeah,
United
thank you,
States.
but thank God the Russians had already won the bloody war almost by then. Don't forget, 23 million Russians died protecting you and me from the Nazi menace. Protecting you, and 23 million Russians died protecting you and me. You already won the bloody war almost by then. Don't forget, 23 million Russians.
You lost your father in World War II. Thank God the United States.
But thank God the Russians had already won the bloody war almost by then. Don't forget, 23 million Russians died protecting you and me from the Nazi menace.
Hey, and you would think the Russians would have learned their lesson from war and wouldn't have invaded Ukraine.
Well, you
Fair?
with all your reading, I would suggest to you, Michael, that you go away and read a bit more and then try and figure out what the United States would do if the Chinese were putting nuclear-armed missiles into Mexico and Canada.
The Chinese are too busy encircling Taiwan as we speak. Okay?
They're not encircling Taiwan. Taiwan is part of China. And that's been absolutely accepted by the whole of the international community since 1948. And if you don't know that, you're not reading enough. Go and read about it.
Okay, did we solve anything here today?
Yeah, we did.
It's not that he doesn't.
Why is Howie Mandel like doing this interview?
I know, right? Howie Mandel light. It's not that he doesn't understand it, Roger. It's that he, by his masters, deem him what he is allowed to speak on and what he is not allowed to speak on. And those are things you're naming that he's not allowed to speak on, or he loses his job. That's what it is, because 90% of the media is owned by BlackRock. And BlackRock says exactly, they dictate what these people are allowed to report on and what they're not allowed to report on. That's it.
I mean, no, we didn't.
I mean,
you're believing your propaganda.
Roger, you're literally arguing with BlackRock right now. Anytime you talk to a mainstream media person, just picture a black rock sitting in front of you, because that's who you're talking to. You're talking to Larry Fink. You know, and it's what Larry Fink is making that person say, and what they're allowed to say and what they're not allowed to talk about. And that's it. That's Larry Fink, man.
Your side's propaganda.
You're defining it as
Taiwan,
propaganda.
you can't have a conversation about human rights, and you can't have a conversation about Taiwan without actually doing the reading.
Roger, if you're having a conversation about human rights, at the top of the list of offenders are the Chinese. Why is it always the Western world?
At the top of your list.
Why is it
the
always
Chinese
the Western
didn't
world?
invade Iraq and kill 1 million people in 2003. In fact,
boom.
Who believe the political narrative of the day.
It's really, I'm so sorry. It was so hard to hear what was being said over what was being said on the chat. I'm sorry. I'll rewind this, okay? Listen.
Drive. Could you end up with a worse name than Fink, Jesus, Greeny Houdini, and digest mainstream media like it's 1980?
Can you guys hold on a second, please? Just hold on 1 second.
Rights at the top of the list of offenders are the Chinese. Why is it always the Western world?
Okay, can you guys just hold off for 1 second while we listen to this part, please? Just hold on 1 second, okay?
Conversation about human rights at the top of the list of offenders are the Chinese. Why is it always the Western world?
At the top of your list.
Why is it
the
always
Chinese
the Western
didn't invade Iraq and kill 1 million people in 2003. In fact,
boom, the Chinese didn't invade Iraq and kill 1 million innocent people in 2003. Did you hear how he pulls these facts out of his brain?
as far as I can recall, hang on a minute, who have the Chinese invaded and murdered, slaughtered?
Their own.
Bollocks.
Okay.
That's absolute nonsense. Complete nonsense. You should go away and read, but read some proper.
Hey, my problem is I spend too much time reading your liner notes, okay? Thank you for doing this.
Thank
I appreciate
you
it.
for talking to me.
All right.
It's always a pleasure.
Is it? Okay. Oh, my God. You're such a troublemaker.
Please don't call me that.
What?
My God.
So stupid. Don't call me that. All right. You may talk now. Now that we've watched that episode and you can understand how, whether or not Roger Waters
Sweet Lou.
scored
This
every
psychopath is
point,
laughing at 1 million murdered Iraqis.
you have to realize that you're listening to a rock musician talk to a political analyst for CNN. And he's schooling him the entire time. These are facts that Smirkanish doesn't want to remind America of, because it makes people not want to support war. And that's what Larry Fink wants. He wants war. That's what BlackRock wants. We've got the greatest sanctions. We've got such great sanctions. What'd she say after that? We've got great sanctions.
Greeny Houdini. Yes, nature ASMR.
Is that ASMR, me turning the fan on?
William Robertson. Hey, nay.
That's funny. So, should I just start a channel and call it Nature, NAYTURE ASMR, and just put a camera facing outside at the rain and have the fan on
Greeny
going?
Houdini. Oh, it sounds like rain for a
And
sec.
never be in it, never
Greeny
say anything,
Houdini. LMAO.
and just let people listen to the rain and watch the deer and the bear walk by. The bears, the bulls, the bears, the bears, the bulls, the bears, the
Greeny
bulls.
Houdini. You prob make some dull hairs.
Hey, I'd like to
Greeny
smoke this
Houdini.
bong rip.
Those get lots of views.
Yeah, I know. I feel sorry for people, man. That they need. That's what they choose to watch, man. It's so sad. Millions of people, man, watching ASMR weird shit. Oh my God, there's
Fried
something
drive.
wrong.
Good God, no, I hate that guru ASMR horseshit.
What do you attribute, yo, Billy? What do you attribute, yeah, and Cyber? Why do you think people are so weird today and listen to shit like that?
I have no fucking clue, bro. Not at all.
Right? What is changing, man? That all of a sudden there's a demand for people to listen to someone flip on a hair dryer
Greeny
or
Houdini.
a blow dryer and let a blow dryer run all night.
Yeah, I
Greeny
don't get it,
Houdini.
man.
Of PPL.
You want to listen to somebody scraping a microphone with
Greeny
their
Houdini.
fingernail?
Fall asleep.
I saw that one.
Daniel Ondrashi.
It's so
Sounds like
stupid.
you're talking to
This
Conor
girl with her
McGregor.
fingernails, she was clicking them against like this wooden box, and she
Greeny
just
Houdini.
oh my God, I
Now
was like,
like the thunderstorm black screen.
she was like doing all different things. She would like do like 3 minutes of one thing, and people were like sending her all kinds of money. Oh my God. Cheers.
Yeah, I know. Cheers.
Happy 420. Cheers.
Happy 420.
Fried drive. Only thing I can think of is it's like phone sex. For weirdos. And men paint their nails now.
It's like fetish shit.
Daniel Ondrashi. Conor McGregor on the phone. Greeny Houdini. Him smoking out of Bob. Greeny Houdini. Open mouth smile.
All right, let's watch this.
Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis suspended Tampa's top elected prosecutor. The governor says he removed state attorney Andrew Warren from office for, quote, neglect of duty and incompetence, unquote. Now, that neglect appears to be a letter that Warren signed along with 83 prosecutors nationwide, pledging not to prosecute anyone who seeks, provides, or supports
Daniel
an abortion.
Ondrashi. Mouth breathing and knuckle dragging for
And I
me.
don't think the people of Hillsborough County want to have an agenda that is basically woke, where you're deciding that your view of social justice means certain laws shouldn't be enforced.
I'm joined now by the man elected twice by the people of the county just named by that governor, Hillsborough County. Andrew Warren. Good to see you, Andrew. Although I'm certain that you have quite the reaction to what has happened today. I want to just ask this question though, because I think that people might not fully understand what's happened today. Were you presented with a case where you were told or had the opportunity to prosecute somebody who was seeking, providing, or some way helping to acquire an abortion?
Okay, this is what's up with Rand Paul. All right. Rand Paul is a Republican, and he's against a woman's right.
Houdini. They don't like PPL who are woke.
Okay, you want me to answer your question or not? I literally stopped my show to answer your question. So Rand Paul is the kind of person who doesn't think a woman should have a right to her own autonomy over her body, to her own decisions about what goes on inside her own body. That's Rand Paul. He's anti-abortion. Now, that's fucking psychotic. Okay? Do I like Rand Paul? No, I fucking hate him. Based on that alone, I fucking hate him. Is he right about the way he goes after Fauci? Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's right. But it's too bad he's anti-abortion and he's against women's rights and he's a fucking Republican cunt motherfucker. You know, it's too fucking bad because, yeah, I do agree with that point on Fauci.
Houdini.
You know,
Lol.
How's that? Was that good?
And you refused to prosecute, or this was a hypothetical that you were released on?
Well, you'll have to ask the governor. I mean, that certainly wasn't presented with any case. And this just shows how flagrant this overreach is. This is a blatant violation of the most fundamental principles in our democracy, that the people get to elect their leaders. That's how democracy works. Even my 8-year-old understands that.
Well, you know, you and I are both prosecutors, and I certainly understand the idea of prosecutorial discretion. And there are choices made all of the time about whether to pursue cases, whether to not pursue cases. This is really part of the job, part of, I assume, why one would elect somebody to be a prosecutor as well. And so, in that instance, based on that,
no, I didn't know that.
Why would this be a dereliction or a neglect of duty for you not to, or for you to decide how to wield your discretion?
But it's kind of funny that you say that, because I always say that people's names reflect who they are. And that's fucking funny.
It's not. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's not a dereliction of duty. In fact, it's not even talking about things that I've done in the office. It's talking about things that I may do in the future for a law that doesn't even exist yet. I mean, this is out of like 1984 Orwellian thought police. I've said that if a law was passed like this, then I would make sure we use our resources to do what the people elected me to do: keep our neighborhoods safe, promote justice and fairness. The governor's just grasping at straws here. He's not caring about what's best for the people of Hillsborough. He's caring about his presidential ambitions.
Now, based on the caveat you just gave, though, let me just push back for a second, because you did sign a letter that essentially said, look, I'm not going to prosecute a case like this without having a case.
Pregnant, she shouldn't have gotten pregnant.
Yeah, Greeny Houdini, what if she gets raped?
Before you, without having a specific fact pattern to talk about.
Yeah, I see you've already put a lot of thought into this one.
Passed, you then would not do something to prosecute. Why would that be excusable if a prosecutor's job was to enforce the laws as written?
For instance, I wanted to rob a bank or 10 until I turned 14.
I'm glad you asked that. It's a great question, because I put my hand on the Bible and I swore to uphold the U.S. and the state constitutions. And at the time I signed that, Roe v. Wade was still the law of the land
aka
under the
no
U.S.
thought at all.
Constitution. And the Florida Constitution has an express right to privacy. The law that the governor is mad at me for saying I won't enforce, which, by the way, I said I would look at on a case.
Women would be saying they're trapped left and right, you know, for an abortion. Greeny Houdini. So IDK how that would work a shit show.
By case basis.
Here's how it would work. Don't worry about what other people do in their lives. You know, it doesn't involve you. That's how it works.
Is a law that's unconstitutional that's already been held unconstitutional by the first court to look at it.
Greeny Houdini.
I want to play
Saying
what
they're
Governor
raped.
Sanders had to say, because he actually touched on that very notion of the idea of not looking at a case-by-case basis. Here he is.
That's why you don't put a law on it, Greeny Houdini. Then you don't have to worry about who the fuck was raped and who wasn't. Whoever needs an abortion gets a fucking abortion. Doesn't matter what their reason is. That's how it works.
Daniel Ondrashi. I'm taking no advice.
We are going to make sure that our laws are enforced and that no individual prosecutor puts himself above the law. Yes, you can exercise discretion in an individual case, but that discretion has to be individualized and case specific. You can't just say you're not going to do certain offenses.
So that's not what you were doing, you're saying. By signing that letter, it was still Roe v. Wade you were referencing, and you do still intend, should you be in that position, to actually look at a case-by-case basis. Is that right?
My body, my choice. Well, where the
Yes,
hell is
and
my
I've said that-
foreskin?
This from the beginning when we were talking about the abortion law, that even though there's a right to privacy in Florida, and even though the law that the legislature passed is unconstitutional, if we put those things aside for a moment, if a case comes to me, we exercise our discretion under the new law as we would under the old law. There's a big difference between a Tampa General Hospital doctor providing an abortion at 24 weeks versus a back alley abortion at 37 weeks. And any good prosecutor who's following the law will look at the facts of the case and the law before making a charging decision. Again, the governor's just upset because
Greeny
I'm not
Houdini.
kowtowing to his
4S
agenda.
don't matter
I'm the one
anyways.
upholding the law here. On abortion, the law
Greeny
is clear in
Houdini.
Florida.
Open
That
mouth
15-week
smile
ban is
rolling on the floor, laughing
unconstitutional,
tears
and I
of
said I'm
joy.
not going to enforce it.
Daniel Ondrashi.
So
Hey,
are
Nate,
you,
you down
I
to
know
kick
that
it
you
up
have
at
been
Vancouver
suspended.
Island.
What is your thought on the anticipation of possibly being reinstated by the Florida State Senate? I mean, they don't actually come back into session, I think, until March. Do you intend to go back to work tomorrow, nonetheless?
I'm going to continue doing what the Hillsborough County citizens elected me to do, which is keep our neighborhood safe and promote fairness and justice and the rule of law. I've done that every day for the past 5.5 years, and I'm not going to stop now. The reality is that the governor can sign some order in his pen or in his crayon, and it doesn't change what the voters elected me to do, which is to serve this community to the best of my ability.
Well, it looks like it'll be a very interesting morning tomorrow in your office. Mona Andrew Warren, thank you for being a part of the show. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Look, the context is as clear as the latest Republican polling, by the way. I mean, Governor DeSantis is the only Republican besides Donald Trump with double-digit support for the 2024 nomination.
There you
Look at
go.
that. It's an inverse, 43-34.
There you
I
go.
can do math, everybody. I called it an inverse. Why is everyone laughing? Of course I can do math. What are you talking about? Excuse you all. Let's discuss that with Scott Jennings, Abby Finkenauer.
There you go, guys.
Like,
DeSantis
I get
is
it. Only
number
lawyers
2
will
behind
bill
Trump
people.
right
They don't
now.
do the math. But listen, what do you make of the idea? I mean, Governor DeSantis essentially has somebody suspended and basically escorted out of the building because he won't eventually look at a case in his mind, case by case, and doesn't intend to follow what the Supreme Court says he's supposed to follow or not follow. What's your thought?
2 takeaways, Laura. Number one, that Governor DeSantis used the word woke in that speech very intentionally. If there's a 2024 Republican presidential primary,
Greeny Houdini.
being tough on
PMAO
wokeness
pride.
will be just as important as being tough on crime or being tough on China. I think a lot of the things that Governor DeSantis does going forward have to be
Drive,
looked
drive.
at through that
Mayor,
prism
at
of a
least we'll
potential
get a few more
presidential race.
chicken
One more
sandwich
quick point.
restaurants.
All my life, most of my life, Republicans have said the government that governs best is the government that's closest to the people. That would be the voters of Hillsborough County and their
Greeny
district attorney.
Houdini.
If they don't like him,
Charles
they think
killed
he's
the
too woke,
system.
they can vote him out in 2024. But apparently now the idea is it should come from Tallahassee or from Washington.
I mean, just the thought here. I mean, the umbrella of wokeness is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Wokeness seems to be anything that is
Greeny
not what the
Houdini.
governor wants,
Drive,
right? That's not,
drive, I
that's
love
not actually the
your name.
criteria for wokeness, is it? I don't want Scott
Greeny
Jennings.
Houdini.
How do you
Open
define
mouth
woke?
smile.
Well, I'll just give you a macro view. There are Republicans all over this country who are quite concerned about a growing number of liberal prosecutors who seem to be more interested in their own personal ideological agenda than they are in prosecuting the laws. He's not the only prosecutor who's elected around the country who has said, I won't do certain kinds of prosecutions. Now, DeSantis made an aggressive move here. And of course, everybody's going to, freak out about it. But this is, just to give you raw political analysis, this is his instinct that has put him up where we showed him on the polling. finding a way to provoke a reaction that gets him the enemies that you need in a potential Republican primary to rise. And he's done it time and again. He did it with Disney. You know, he has done it over and over again. So one of the reasons he is sitting at the top of the non-Trump heap is because he does have an instinct to perceive these opportunities and then to aggressively act on them, which is something, you know, Republican voters are looking for out of their national candidates.
Yeah, I mean, with the overturning of Roe, we knew, I mean, that night that we were going to see governors across the country in these red states just tripping over themselves, trying to get further to the right of the next one because they want headlines and they want to make a name for themselves. But what we're talking about here, too, and I hope we don't get lost on this, he's upset that an attorney might not prosecute or criminalize
You're supposed to bury the baby's foreskin in a corner of your home. I mean umbilical cord.
A doctor prosecute. He's upset that an attorney might not prosecute or criminalize a doctor or a woman seeking an abortion. I mean, that is what we're talking about here. That is where we are right now in the United States of America, the state of Florida, right? I mean, it is horrifying that we're even having this discussion, that we're talking about criminalizing abortion, but that is where we're at right now. And he might win a Republican primary, but he better be paying attention to what just happened in Kansas.
So I got a new Twitter. It's at...
Fried Drive. What just happened to Kansas? Was someone fucked by bears?
I've got a new Twitter. It's at Truthier News. The website is truthier.news. I'm also on YouTube at Truthier News. The Truthier News channel. Check it out there. It's got all the videos posted. I would love it if you guys would go there. You would subscribe. You would sign up for notifications. You follow the channel on Twitter. You share the videos around. You'd retweet them at various people. It really helped. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Take care. The links are in the chat, the little chat bot. You click on any of those links anytime and go check it out. All right. Thanks, guys. Once again. Bye-bye.